Thank you. Okay, so today, as I shared in my message to all of you, is that today we'll take a little detour from a highway running, from processes to concepts to tools, which we have been exploring in last three sessions. Um, Today we'll just let's explore the different needs of the learners, and we explore those learning needs through learner inside us. So let's start with an activity. So what you have to do is that um, I'll prompt you with the situation and quickly think of whatever is your regular response and type in chat window. And here I go. Your 2-year-old is spilling the food while eating. What will be your response? Type in chat window. Yeah, so genuine response is coming. I'll help, I'll inform, or whatever. Be careful. Yeah, we would like to care about the child and the food itself also. Yashwadani saying would allow to eat, freedom to eat. Yeah, Divya is quite honest. Yes, that would might be the immediate response for many of the reasons. Vishruti is saying that she would like to uh, whatever warn or give a future situation that you can spill, but then you can clean it up later. Okay, so let's look at it from a respect window and then see that are we respecting the child's efforts. You can note down for yourself that in this case, are you respecting the child's effort? Let's go ahead with the second situation. Um, Child comes to you and says that my painting is horrible. What would be your response? Rajni wants to know that why do you think so? Ritu would like to find out that in what way you're thinking that your painting is horrible. Smith, Smita would like to console the child by saying that it doesn't look horrible to me. Parul will go back to the good points and maybe encourage the child to try again. Someone is asking what way. Vishruti is connecting with the child and saying maybe you didn't like it much. Pranesh wants to comfort the child by saying my paint, it's okay, mine is also horrible than yours. Ashi wants to know what's horrible in this. Okay, so you can only uh, whatever evaluate your own response by thinking from an evaluation perspective, that are you respecting the child's evaluation? Child is coming to you and saying my painting is horrible, and whatever are your responses, now think from a respect window and think that are you respecting child's evaluation? Let's take another situation. The child is wearing slippers in the wrong feet, means right in the left and the left in the right. What would be your response? Yeah, Ritu would like to correct him. Bhavika would also like to correct him. Sometimes we also feel that Maybe the child by ignorance is wearing, or child needs to know right and left. Radhika would like to clarify, and she has the same experience at home too. Selvraj would like to connect. Is that, are you feeling comfortable? Pranesh would like to talk about Charlie Chaplin. Divya would like to correct. Surbi would like to give him time and then ask. Um, yeah, Parul, you have crossed that stage, but even if you see somebody else's child wearing slippers in the wrong feet, what would you like to respond to? And let's see that whatever are the responses you're thinking or you would give at that time, just look at from an exploration window. Are we respecting the child's exploration? I'm not right now evaluating what responses are you giving is respectful or not. I'm just giving you the possibly different windows. Let's look at another window and then see. um, Child is spending more time on mobile than studies. What would you like to respond? Ratish is reminding for the recording. Let me check. I think it's working. Good. Yep, thank you. Yeah, child is spending more time on mobile than studies. What would you like to respond? Is my voice is it cracking for everyone? Okay, fine. Let's move ahead. Child is spending more time on mobile than studies. Radhika will not allow. Bring to the notice, uh, maybe bring the awareness, and also offer some more options. Poonam would like to explore some other topic. Pranesh is also warning kind of, what can happen because of the screening. We would like, Parul would like to bring balance. Um, Abhiruchi, maybe first day you would like to leave the choice to the child. Maybe talk about studies and then talk about this. Yep. Okay. So let's see that are we respecting the preferences what the child is uh, uh, making right now. Okay, I also want to bring it to the attention that when we talk about the respect, we are not necessarily talking about agreement and disagreement. Those are, according to me, are the physical things, or a very separate thing. Then the respecting the child, that what the child is preferring right now. We all respect our children. We say that we respect our children, we love our children, but um, are we also respecting for them to them from a different windows, and some of the windows um, can be, are we respecting their efforts, are we respecting their evaluation, exploration, preferences, and some more windows to go. uh, let's explore some more windows. Now these days a lot of online school is going on and the child doesn't want to uh, attend that online school. What would you like to respond? Yeah, the fifth situation is child doesn't want to go to doesn't want to attend online school. Are you able to see the slides? Yep, bribe him. You are not able to see the fifth situation. Okay. It's on the right. It's on the right side. Maybe your chat window, something is there on that side, or maybe just little scroll your screen. Yeah, we would. we would share the situation that it has to be done, or maybe remind them that others are going, yes, Abhiruchi, this is, maybe this will be tough one. um, yeah, we will remind there are no choices, and maybe give other options that you can watch your friends. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So, whatever are your responses, are we respecting the child's decision? Whatever the child is deciding, am I respecting the child's decision before I share my opinion on certain aspect? Okay, let's look into the another situation. Yeah, the sixth one is, child is taking a lot of time in making a slideshow, a project. Child is wanting to do slideshow, but the child is taking a lot of time. What would you like to do? Can you hear me? So, Poonam is not able to hear. Can others hear me? Okay, fine. Let's move ahead. Uh, yep, Bhavika would like to help him. Just remember, child is wanting to do the work, wanting to learn slideshow, but it's the whole process is taking a lot of time. Yeah, and whatever your response is, just think that, are you working from a window of respecting the struggle? Yeah, are you respecting the struggle before you want to offer the help, or maybe allow him to do by himself? Um, Checking what are the difficulties, whatever you're asking, are you working from the window of respecting whatever struggle this child is going through? Let's look at one more. Child is upset that you are telling to share toys with neighbors, or with a neighbor child, another child. um, what would you like to respond? The child is upset now. What would you like to respond? Can you hear me? Yep, Rajni is saying it's okay not to share, but what would you respond to the child? Child is upset. The situation is already done. Now the child is upset. Yeah, whatever you would respond, avoid the topic, maybe talk about the values, remind him about the past situation. Let's see that, are we seeing it from the window of respecting the child's feeling, whatever the child is feeling right now? Are you respecting the child's feeling? Let's look at the last one. Child is upset that he's not able to, he decided to do something in the morning, and then he thought he'll be able to do it. Now he's um, quite either frustrated or even upset with himself that he's not able to do it. He's disappointed. um, what would you like to respond in that situation? Child is working, maybe you're also working with the child, but the child is frustrated, child is disappointed, that child is not able to do things which he had thought he would be able to do it. Yeah, you would like to comfort the child, maybe encourage, maybe give options that you can do it later, listen to his failure, reflect, motivate. Okay, so let's look at again that are we respecting the feelings? Whatever the child is feeling right now, am I respecting that feeling? Whether I want to support, whether I want to talk about it, whether I want to reflect with the child, whatever. But at first stage, am I respecting the child? Yeah. So when we look at the respect from various window, and we and then we think about um, how does it matter to a learner?
Ratnesh here. Hi, good afternoon. I guess it's important. Forget any learner. It's important for people like me and you
As a
to,
learner,
as a learner, to be respected in different ways, in different specific ways, not in general, some respect kind of a broad thing, but
touching feet
specifically.
or saying namaste.
Yeah, touching feet and namaste. That's not the respect the child, or for that matter, I am, uh, or anybody is thinking about. But more importantly, uh, if then, and if I'm not respected, let's see what happens. I may not feel okay about myself. I may not value my own abilities, my capabilities, my thinking, my
My
decision
struggles.
making, my struggles, and that's all kinds of signals I'm getting. So I think it's important. Perhaps this is the foundation on which a child is able to learn, is that he or she is respected as a learner. Uh, and learning requires all kinds of things like evaluation, exploration, preferences, struggles, feelings. There can be many more on this slide. These are just some examples. So we need to relook uh, at respect and see, hey, uh, are we are we as a learner getting or creating a respectful environment?
Yeah. Also, sometimes what happens, Ratnesh, is that maybe I'm in a too much in a hurry. Yeah. And in my hurry, I would like to comfort the child. I would like to distract the child from the feeling what the child is feeling at that moment. What the
Or do the task for the child?
do the task for the child, thinking that okay, child will feel more comfortable. Uh, but if I start looking at from the other windows, that am I respecting the child's struggle? Unless uh, uh, am I with the child with his struggle rather than taking him away from his struggles. uh, I think I'm giving the signals to the child that oh, I'm with you, whether
Yeah, yeah. These are the deeper signals we are giving to the child. And I think even if I, in my hurry, said something, I think all is not lost. Um, I can still go back next day or in the evening or next day morning and say, hey, at that time you were struggling, and I respect your struggle. I respect the way you were trying out, and it's okay. It's okay if you were not able to do it that way and you want to try more, or whatever I feel like saying. So I can always go back, even if I at that moment has have missed the opportunity to, um, uh, you know, to kind of respect the child's working.
and also when I as an adult in child's life, as a mentor, as a facilitator, is working from a respect window, I'm telling the child that it's okay to struggle, it's okay to fail, it's okay to make wrong decisions, it's okay to not get things at that moment, it's okay to feel upset, it's okay to feel disappointed. uh, I, I'm respecting whatever you are at that, and what the learner is getting in return is that it's okay, I can make mistake, getting more confidence in himself, more confidence in the struggles, more confidence in the failure which we go through.
Are you guys
Yeah.
able to hear? Okay, okay. I just want to again clarify that respecting doesn't necessarily mean agreeing. We don't have to agree to, let's say, if the child is hitting somebody, but we can respect the child's anger. If the child is spending more time on, let's say, we talked about mobile, so we don't need to agree to that, but we can respect the child's
Need of,
preference,
yeah, or the
or
preference,
the
yeah.
want of watching, or let's say entertainment. I think if we start with respect, then it's a totally different thing.
Yeah. So I think also yeah, I think when we are operating from the window of fear, all we get is the fear in return. When we are operating from the fear of failure, fear of future, fear of not able to learn the right thing, a fear of disappointments, I think what we are giving back to the child is that same fear, and then the child is exhibiting that fear uh, in many different forms. So I think for us as a mentor or as a facilitator of a self-directed learning, I think this respect window makes a lots and lots and lots of difference. And and I think that's top in our list when we talk about understanding the child, understanding their struggle, understanding what they are going through, or understanding their preferences. Let's move to the second window. Just give me some time, just a couple of minutes. I'm
You can
sharing
take
my
some thoughts.
sharing my screen. Till then, maybe we can just take what thoughts are there in your mind before I move ahead with the another activity, and we look at the another window of a learner. Yeah, Bhavika is asking for some example. I didn't get which example are you talking about. Yeah, so Ritu, maybe we are right now not talking about that. I means there are many occasions where we agree with a lot of people around us. We disagree with a lot of people what they are talking about.
I've signed out from here. Just sign in again, no? Uh, can you hear us?
Okay.
Somebody saying, "How can I respectfully disagree?" I think that's awesome. Let's explore. How can we respectfully disagree? I guess the good thing is you wrote the respectful word first. So first, let's respect whatever the person is, wherever the person is there. So then we can disagree. But I can at least respect the other person's choice. It's like agree to disagree. So in the same way.
Yeah, so I think Ritu and Bhavika is talking about that when the child doesn't want to read, how do you respect? I'm not talking about the respect, the action of not wanting to read. I'm saying respect the child as a whole, that the child is right now have the choice to not to read. Yeah. Then maybe I'm not saying any of the responses which were put in the chat window earlier, there's anything wrong in it. I'm only asking you to add the window of respect. Uh, with that, as I think Jasmeet has already put up, respectful disagree, respectfully disagree. Yeah. Uh, uh, and if you want to little more exercise this with yourself, maybe you can go back to the people typically elder than us whom we respect. uh, and how do we respond to them? uh, are we too much in a hurry to correct them? Are we too much in a hurry to not let them feel what they are feeling? uh, uh, we have lots of people. We have gurus, we have colleagues, we have our elders in our home, we have spouses whom we respect but not necessarily agree on everything what they say. Yeah. uh, but when it comes to the children, somewhere I think this window of respect is shifted from our needs, or maybe our worries, or maybe our conditioning, that it's okay to correct the child, it's okay to not respect the child. Yeah. So let's move ahead. Yes, Smita, I'm not even talking about the what behavior you do with the child. I'm talking about even with that behavior, what's back of your mind. It makes a lot of difference what you are, what a lot more happens internally than what lot more you exhibit externally. Yeah. Maybe something a little more to be with the concept of respecting. We move ahead with another window, which is the goal. Okay, again, let's do you. I know I'm leaving you in between with lots of doubts, lots of thoughts, lots of question. um, let's move ahead with the second window, window of goal. For that, you have to do a little activity uh, that you have to design a flag for yourself. How about designing a flag for yourself, which is talking about you, which defines you, what's important for you at this moment? At this moment, how do you define yourself, flagging yourself, and then say, hey, this is me. Okay. If you can do it quickly, maybe a half a minute, little scribble, what defines you. And if you are done, just type in chat window D or done. Then I get that I'm with you. Yep, some done's coming. Remember, it's your flag. We are not even going to show to each other unless you want to flag it around, post it in WhatsApp. Hey, this is me. Yeah. What's important here is that it's you and it's your flag.
Okay, the idea of this activity was simple. When we are in charge, when we are leading, when we are deciding what will go in something. The idea of activity was given by us, but pretty much rest was driven by you. You decided how much you want to put in it, what you want to put in it, how the outcome would look. Are you happy with that outcome or not? So the goal in that sense were totally yours. The outcomes were totally yours, and that brings a totally different kind of an engagement when we define what is why am I doing something, right? A lot of times when we give children or children are yeah, given some work, they are not clear why we are doing this, or they are not clear what is the goal, or if they want to set their own goals, then that is not kind of allowed, let's say, or not agreed to. So then all the confusion happens, and that's when the children lose interest in learning something, because there is no, they don't want that goal, or there is no clarity of the goal. Now I'm not trying to say everything that the child does will be a favorable goal to the child, but even if the child, or for that matter even us, are clearer about why we want to do something, then we are far more ready to do things as compared to when we are not very clear behind the reasoning. uh, you want to share about example of campus
Yeah.
care?
So before I share the example of campus care, I just want to get what Ratnesh you're trying to say is that uh, I'm listening two things. One, you're saying if there is me in it, yeah, and the other thing which you're saying if there's a clarity for me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So I also bring this whole concept of negotiable and non-negotiable. I think we call it understandable, whatever. uh, there is a yeah, can you hear me? Somebody saying can't hear. Am I there with everybody? Okay. Okay, so we have this concept of campus care at campus. We around 30 of us live together at a time. There are certain things which needs to be done, and physically not possible for only few people to do that work. So we have this concept of campus care, and campus care is mandatory. Uh, but while it has a factor of being mandatory, it also has a factor of um, uh, 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 how do I do that, this whole thing, and there's a lot of it takes even sometime 5 to 6 months for the child to understand that why are we doing campus care. We bring in maybe different ways the conversation about it. We bring in different ways the reasoning why it is important, and even then after um, a few months of child staying at campus, even some children few years, they haven't, possibly they're still not there in terms of preference with campus care. But I think that's fine. That's fine that they are still not liking the campus care. We are not in a hurry to create that the each child should now start respecting the value of community contribution. While we talk about this as a contribution window, we are not in a hurry that they should look from the contribution window. They should look from thankfulness window. They should look from work as a worship window. I think they work in campus care with their own window. Sometimes they do it because that has to be done, and sometimes also so called all kind of carelessness, shortcuts, emotions, all kind of things pops in. um, but I think but there is a sense of clarity that why I'm doing it. Yeah, Ratish, you want to add something?
No, let's move ahead.
Okay, so yeah, so let me move ahead to the third window on um, uh, which in the journey of the self-directed learner is window of doing. So for this, we'll again do one more activity, and if one of you can, or few of you can just quickly say that you are able to hear me with yes, and then I'll. Okay, fine, thank you. Uh, what we'll do in this activity is that you just write your date of birth in the format of DDMMYY. Um, I think one number is written here. Um, then look for some interesting number patterns in your date of birth. Uh, it can be whatever number patterns you can figure out once you put the number here there. Um, and then share the pattern in the chat window. Yeah, Parul is asking how do you bring that clarity to the child? Uh, okay, so let this activity
Yeah, let's
happen. Yeah.
focus on the activity first. We'll come to all these how questions after the 8 sessions of
Okay.
SDL. Let's focus on the activity. So I'm hoping everybody's clear with the activity. Find out some interesting pattern in your date of birth. Now, you don't have to visually draw it. You can just type that this is the pattern. Like in my date of birth, I can reach in any which way using all digits 7. So that's my interesting pattern. Radhika is sharing she has got lots of ones in her date of birth. So like that, just share whatever is an interesting pattern. Okay. Okay, let's look for mathematical patterns. Swans is great, but we are looking for some number patterns. Okay, somebody Ritu is saying I have multiples of 3. Okay. Oh wow, somebody's first two numbers is 10, then the other two numbers 11, and the next two numbers is 12. Wow,
Interesting.
that's interesting. Shurvi has come up with some very complicated pattern. Okay. Hmm. Difference of 2 between consecutive numbers. So yeah, so that's all right. We're just playing around with numbers. The whole concept of doing uh, is very interesting. We tend to think that there is learning and there is doing, but actually all learning is deeply embedded in doing. In some ways, the whole system has trained us to think that we need to give children knowledge um, rather than give children action. Now, the choice is ours whether we give so called knowledge or whether we actually give them action. In some ways, we have been thinking that, hey, we need to, uh, you know, we are the givers, providers, and they are the consumers, right? Uh, but if we turn that upside down and say, no, 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 I don't want children to be consumers. I want them to be producers. First of all, they need to produce their own knowledge. They need to produce their own understanding. And then they can produce a lot of different things, like how you were producing patterns. We didn't give you any pattern. You started creating patterns, and I'm sure more you explore, you can come up with many patterns. Now you're producing, and when you're producing, you would have realized a lot of thinking gets involved, a lot of understanding, a lot of depth, a lot of involvement gets into action. So if you want, and which is where learning actually happens, a lot of application happen. You were using multiple concepts to look into the number. So the whole idea is that can we get children to produce learning? And obviously you produce something by doing it, by action, right? So core to the whole learner's mental, physical, emotional energy is the whole act of doing. The more we can look at learning from a doing perspective rather than learning perspective, which invariably gets translated by people into teaching perspective. So let's leave the teaching, let's leave the learning perspective, let's get into action.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into action for the fourth one. Another window. While some mics are on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's move on to the next activity. So today, lots of activities. I hope you're all enjoying it. So this time we want you to draw a Zentangle. Now, what is a Zentangle? Well, Zentangle is nothing. You just draw a figure and then you fill it up with some patterns. Like my little daughter has filled this fish with lot of patterns.
Little daughter who is 21 years old.
Yeah, yeah, she's little for me. And you can choose any shape. You can draw a fish and fill it up, or you can draw any other shape that you feel like and start filling it with patterns. So maybe take a minute, draw a shape and fill it up with whatever patterns you feel like filling it up. You can even draw your own face and fill it up with patterns. You don't have to share here anything, just do it for a minute. We'll be quiet for a minute and then we'll talk about progress.
Yeah. Vishnu, as at this moment, let's focus on doing what you are doing this pattern, Zantangle, We'll come back to your thoughts uh, once we are gone. We've gone. We have 10 windows to share. Yeah, once we are through with these windows, we'll take it up.
Okay. So now what we will do is, I hope you have done some part of at least Zentangle. You may not have finished it. That's okay. You can finish your work of art later. Uh, we will do a little rating of ourselves. So we have put about 6 criteria, and go ahead and rate yourself. Again, you don't need to share anything in the chat window. Just go ahead and rate yourself. Rate yourself on the effort that you put. So we are doing a rating on a scale of 1 is to 10. 1 could be low, 10 is high. So on the effort you put is the first one. On creativity, on new skills you explored. Sorry, that's a typo there. New skills you explored. Um, you can rate yourself on perseverance. You can rate yourself on gratitude you felt, and you can also rate yourself on if you were kind towards yourself while we were doing this Zentangle. So all of these is for the Zentangle. Yep. So take some 10 seconds to rate yourself on all these 6. Right. So the whole idea of progress is actually very simple. Some of these 6 ones are nothing but aspects of progress or aspects of doing things. Uh, what they are not is anything to do with the result. The um, the important thing about progress is that when we do not focus on result, when we focus on how the things are happening, how I am progressing or the child is progressing, first of all, I'm very less stressful. When you say can learning happen with doing, I would say then you are thinking about the outcome. We are not thinking about any learning here. We're not thinking about any result, any outcome. We are just thinking about the progress, which is part of the process. Progress comes from doing, from being part of the process. And when we are thinking about the progress, and as I said, the progress is happening with the process, I don't need to compare the outcomes because there is no need, and there's no stress, there is no evaluation, there is no judgment. We are just there. We are free to enjoy the whole journey. And and then start thinking, hey, start reflecting, hey, how is it that have I developed something new? How my skills are growing, which skill is growing, which aspect of me is growing. So I'm able to enjoy myself. And that is essential to progress, to be with the process.
Yeah, so as a facilitator or as a mentor in the SDL journey, I think if I can free myself from the results or products, I think I can make first myself stress free, and when I'm free of stress, um, I think I can be much more available to the child, to listen, to respect, to understand the child's goal, to create a doing for the child because I'm free now. Is that so, Ratnesh?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's move to the next one. Um, there's one more activity. For each one, we have a little activity, right? In this case, we want you to think of an interest of yours. Could be anything. You might be interested in dancing. You might be interested in nature. You might be interested in photography. Anything that is of your interest. Cooking, anything. So you have to choose one interest, and you have to write a small poem on about you and your interest, not just about the interest. So if you like carpentry, don't just write about carpentry, but about how you do like, enjoy, submerge yourself in carpentry. You can write your own poem, or you can use, we have given a format, you can use that format by
Voice
filling
is
up the blanks.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Okay, just give us a few minutes.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
better now.
yeah.
Right. I haven't really said anything more than what is there on your screen. So just read that and just write a little poem. Choose an interest of yours, anything. And take a minute to write a small 4-line poem. If you want, share it in chat. If you just want to write it for yourself, that's also okay. Okay. So hope you are enjoying writing your poem, and maybe you will continue adding more lines after the session. Right. So the moment we connect to something that is coming from deep inside, like dancing is coming, music is coming, craft is coming, whatever whatever lies deep inside us, whatever are the deep desires, what can we call as interest, then the huge fire goes on. And that is so amazing in terms of learning. A lot of times when children are given things to be learned, they are given as separate from what they are really interested in. And this is what creates a lot of, I would say, stress in the learner, because I want to do something else. I want to think about dancing, and here they are talking about, let's say, history, or they're talking about uh, geography, or they're talking about whatever literature, or I don't know, whatever subjects, or whatever else they are talking about, or talking about cleaning utensils, let's say. But the moment I connect dance to history, to geography, to mathematics, to cleaning the bathroom, to making friends, to anything, now the whole fire inside me, or rather the whole fuel inside me, has caught fire. So that's the whole idea. And a lot of our connections, as in our connections with the learning that we are doing, if they can be channelized through our fuel, our desires, our fires, then we can, it just becomes effortless.
Yeah. So, for example, many of the times we tell children that you learn to read, you learn to write. Yeah. What if we, or say the child is interested in a sports? Okay. Can I ask the child to read about sports? Can I read with child about sports? Maybe I can write about sports. Maybe I can count the scores, which I think children might already be doing it, but possibly we are not looking that as a learning, unless the child does that specific. Yeah, I'm not talking about that there are certain specific items, especially the children who are going to the school, they might have to do it. But even at home, uh, if we are behind that process or that product only, I think we are taking away even that um, spirit from the child. Yeah. So if at all, suppose we want to make a child is weak in writing. Okay. Can I create a writing exposure to the child through the child's interest? Is that what, Ratnesh, you're talking about?
Yeah, in a way. So interest is a big how. A lot of people keep asking, how do I do this? How do I connect with the child? How do I make the child? Well, I would say connect to the child's interest. That's the how. That's the channel that's available. It's a huge channel. It's a fire that is there in the child, and all we need to do is to use it. And not that the interest will remain permanent. Maybe the child is no more interested after 5 years or 3 years or even 3 months. That doesn't matter. What matters is at this moment, that's the fire.
Yeah, so that reminds me, I was traveling with a child in the train, and the child was talking to me a lot about the trains and this and that and all. After some time, I said, I can no more talk about the train now. Can you not talk to me? After some time, he comes and tells me, I'm not talking to you about train now. I want to talk about Kareena Kapoor now. And he again started talking about Kareena. So his interest, maybe not Kareena, maybe not the train, maybe his interest was talking, and he wanted to talk to me, and he took care of my needs that I'm not interested in talking about the trains. And then now he brought another topic for me. He wanted to talk, and he was so much into his his interest. Is that what Ratnesh we are trying to talk
Yep,
about?
absolutely, absolutely. Okay, let's move ahead. One small, tiny little activity. You just have to think about which part of your body, which muscle group is feeling a little sore right now, and then stretch that part. Do some little exercise, do some little stretching, whatever you feel like, however you feel like. You have the full freedom. You even have the freedom of not doing it. You have the freedom of doing a lot of it. You have the freedom to choose how you do it, which exercise you choose. You have all the freedom. And when you've kind of done with it, you can just type D or done in the chat window so we know you are kind of done stretching, done taking care of the sore muscle. Okay, uh, one of the key things in learning is when I set my goals, which we talked about, and I also have the freedom to choose how much, how well I go into something. Just now, you did something to some part of the muscle. I'm assuming you did. How much you did, how well you did you use the right exercise? Did you actually stretch the muscles which you're supposed to do? That all doesn't matter. What matters is that you had the freedom to explore that and even not do it. In fact, in our campus, exercise itself is such an interesting thing where we have a time for it in the morning, but we children have the freedom to do enough, do little, do more, do it in different ways. And when we give them this freedom, they start pushing themselves. Then slowly they start getting into it. So this whole energy, or rather the energy inside gets freed when we offer them this freedom.
Yeah, and I also want to bring to the attention that uh, when we give freedom to the children to choose, or even when I get the freedom, like right now, we all had the freedom to stretch ourselves. But for some of us, it may not be important. Yeah, at this moment, yeah, stretching is, I mean, let somebody say that stretching is good for my health, but then at this moment, I don't feel any value about it. It's not my goal. I will not stretch it. Does that mean that I'm being irresponsible? Yeah, in a way you can say that I'm irresponsible, but uh, finally it's all what drives me, what my understanding drives me for the different things. And no matter how fitness trainers are talking about the fitness and the training and the stretching, finally what goes is what is that at this moment I'm moving ahead with myself. So now let's put our children into that window. They might be right now we only talked about the stretching, but there are hundreds of things in our children's list, and they're supposed to be performing well in all those 100 things. Yeah. Are we also even giving the space to the child that there are certain things which the children are choosing to work with responsibility, which whatever so-called responsibility we talk about it, and there are certain things which is in their to-do list, or there are certain things which they are at this moment not giving attention. But does that mean that they are taking their freedom for granted? Yeah. That's something which we need to think about, is that just because they are not responding in the way we want them to respond, when we give them this concept of you decide. Okay, and immediately if the response is not coming, we start doubting this whole concept that freedom means everything gone. Yeah, but if we can look at from a different window, that from the respect window, that right now the child is choosing to look at this in this window.
So what I'm understanding, Ati, you're saying is only when I give freedom to a child, only then he can start or she can start being responsible.
Yeah,
So in a way, I'm not giving freedom, I'm actually giving responsibility.
Yeah.
So this slide should be renamed as responsibility,
Yeah.
just that it didn't fit in the space. So we took the freedom. So the idea is, yes, the responsibility is embedded in freedom, freedom is embedded in responsibility.
Yeah, so you can't be, you as a parent or as a mentor, you can't be responsible for my freedom. You can't be sitting outside and then or maybe you can't make me the guard and keep the gun with you. Yeah, you need to allow me to choose. You need to respect my preferences, you need to respect my decision at that moment, what I'm choosing.
And you need to let me grow this responsibility inside me. I
Yeah,
guess we all
yeah.
want our children to be responsible beings, which they already are. We just want it to grow, develop the way it is supposed to grow and develop in them, and each one will have that different journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's move ahead. um, okay, so this one is, you have to teach us, each one of you will have to teach us using the chat window any one English word which you think that many of us may not know. So you have to type that word with its meaning, a different word. Don't Google for words now. Just think of any word which you think we may not know. Some of us we may not know. Some different word that you think you know. So go ahead. Uh, Okay, I won't read out these difficult words from the chat window. You only read out.
You need to teach us.
Yeah, so don't just type the word. Please type the word and teach us. Do something. Tell us a story behind the word. Tell us how it relates to you. Tell us how do you feel it. All right. Don't just give us those horrible, big-looking, monster-looking words. So give the word, and with that teach us in whichever way you want to teach us that word.
Yeah, at this moment the constraint, you can't speak, you have to type.
Yeah. You have to type and teach. That's okay. So take few seconds. Think, how will you teach all of us? See, we are going to learn so many words today. Right, we're waiting for more responses. I'm sure you're thinking. Make it somewhere that it stays with us. Make it interesting for us. Ah, Yashwardhan is talking about a monkey-like behavior. I think that describes me.
So is it that anybody who's jumping like a monkey is hooligan, Yashwadni? So Radhika also share, how do I use this word peripatetic? Poonam is talking about different sounds with onomatopoeia. Yeah, okay. Poonam, maybe you can also teach me and the group how to pronounce this word.
And just to show off, I've also put something on the slide.
Yeah, Ashwardhani is saying someone who is wild is a hooligan. So I need to now
Yeah,
think.
I'm sitting next to you. Don't worry.
Okay, anyone else? Chuckle. Amrita is. Um, yeah, this is the word which I see a lot when I watch movie, when they translate or whatever the subtitles. Yeah, I think I can recall that.
Yeah. So even if you haven't typed yet, but if you are thinking how to and what to teach and how to teach and how to tell others, you've basically done the activity. What does docendo decimus means? Well, it means by teaching we learn. The most amazing way of learning is by teaching. That's what a lot of people have said, and that is what to us peer to peer learning means. It means that it's not just that we are together, but invariably, when we are together, when children are together with other children, other adults,
Even at
and
home.
even at home, when we are not just looking at them as learners, we are more looking at them as teachers. And when they start teaching almost everything that they are learning, then they become a, a much larger learner, if I may say. The capabilities and the capacities to learn and what is being learned, uh, just double, triples goes on higher and higher. So this is a very, very integral part of learning that. I had a friend who used to remember hundreds of jokes, thousands of, no, not hundred, I would say thousands of jokes. So somebody asked her, how do you remember so many jokes? She says, the moment I read a joke, I need to tell it to somebody. And because I tell it to so many people, I just remember that joke. So that's the power of teaching, when you just share with others and then you learn. And that's the beauty of being with peers.
If I come back to SDL and then talk about this teaching, um, maybe some of us are already doing it, but most of the time, when it comes to teaching, we only think about adults
Or teachers.
or teachers. Even if we say, okay, you're not an expert, but we still look at the teachers, adults, whom we think that, you know. Uh, we rarely talk about that. Oh, my child is not doing good with maths. Do I have another child in mind who can teach my child maths? Or my child is pretty good with paper folding. Can I create a space? Can I create an opportunity where my child can go and teach, to start with me, that how to do the paper folding, and on to the other children. If you if we if we observe a group of children, you will see a lot of peer to peer learning is happening. They're teaching each other constantly. I know this, and do you know this? I can teach you this, and can you teach me? Can you hear me? Poonam has written, can't hear. Are you able to follow me? Okay. Yep. So let me come back to this peer to peer learning. What we are talking about is that this is, I think, unexplored part when we talk about learning. And and look at the number of online courses happening right now, and most of them are offered by the adults. Is it that the children are not capable? Is it that no age is capable, below whatever 20-25 year old people who are taking the online session? uh, what if I just, my child knows how to whatever.
Sneeze in a musical way.
I saw a video, another child who was showing that how to open a orange peel without any fuss. The mother created a video, and that video was shared on one of the group. And I was amazed. I said,
The
"Wow!"
child was
Child,
doing.
child was showing that video, and I was saying, "Oh, wow! I can now teach from. I can learn from this child." He called it the orange peel hack, and I can learn from that child. Yeah, but in general, when we are thinking about learning and teaching, we are only thinking about the adults. We are only thinking that they can only teach, and our children have such a huge treasure of of teaching. Can we tap that their potential? It's not that they are, others will learn. It's, I think, even when they are teaching, they
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 are
they,
the one
they
who's
are the
learning.
one who are.
Which is why for SDL program, we are not the correct teachers. Your child. That's why Aditi keeps saying is dial your child. So you know who is the real teacher of SDL. Right. Yeah. So YouTube should technically be flooded by children teaching children.
Yeah, Ratnesh was saying use school by the children, not for child. No YouTube for the child, by the children. Let's see if we can convince YouTubers to create that space for our children. Let's move ahead with another window of different. And let's see. You can just draw two columns in your notebook. one for you and one for your child. If you have two children, maybe you can choose any one of them at this moment. And uh, under each category, just write or draw how you both are different. Categories are eating habit, how you both are different in your habits of eating, how you both are different in sense of time, how you both are different when it comes to expressing love, how you both are different when you have to start something new, and how both of you respond differently for something which you are committed for. Some of these categories you may not have observed your child. Maybe this is the time to little think and then understand that or recollect that how my child is different. And if you have done all or at least few categories, you can type done so we can move ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a big one, at least for me. So many times that I try to start thinking of my child as a little model of me, and then I start expecting the child to be similar to me, maybe in terms of how I handle emotions. I think the child should also handle the same way. I start thinking how what are my values, and I think the child should have similar values. And I start thinking that what are my aspirations, and child should have similar ambitions and aspirations, and so on.
Even the way I work, even the way I work,
Even the way I sit.
the way I have sense of time. Yeah, like there's a child who I think comes late for the activities or the sessions. So I told this child that you are late today by 5 minutes. He says, "Yeah, only 5 minutes."
So we need to relook at this completely. The child is a different self, just like we are a different self. And I would take the liberty to quote Khalil Gibran from his wonderful poem. Let me read this out. It's a pleasure for me to read this out. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their body, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. I love this part where he says, don't make them, don't seek them to be like you. And I keep telling children, don't be like me.
Yeah, so I want to come back to the SDL when we talk about it, like the way I look at planning, the way I look at even the whole concept of SDL. I think first I need to understand how is the child looking at from which window the child is looking from, how the child is looking at this whole concept of freedom or responsibility or the jobs or taking learning out of living and any of those things which I'm offering to the child. I need to understand the child's window and realize that we are different, not from my own child or not from other children. My own child, I'm different than my child. Yeah, my daughter, when she was younger, would ask me again whenever we would talk about that. Is your cupboard clean? So she would ask me, your way or my way?
Your clean or my clean?
Yeah.
Yes, we all have different clean levels.
We have all different levels. So So I think we have all different levels of commitment. We have all different lessons. The finished product, we all have a different thoughts about it. Yeah. Okay. So let's. Yeah.
Okay. The last one, the ninth one is called reward. So let's do a small activity. We want you to praise. We will give you a situation or a scene, you may call it, and you have to, in that scene, praise the main protagonist. Yeah, and this the thing that you have to keep in mind is that your praise need to be sincere, specific, and sensitive. So use the chat window, um, and we'll do it one by one, right? Okay. uh, so the first scene is a tree is in full bloom.
How will you play?
How will you give a sincere, specific, and sensitive praise to this tree?
Do they have to type?
Yeah, if you want to type in chat window, that's okay. If you want to just write it on the paper, that's also okay. The idea is to little push yourself to make it sincere, specific, and sensitive. I would say, wow, beautiful looking trees is not very specific. I'm not sure even sensitive. It is sincere because you are feeling wow. So let's see if we can actually use words as if tree is a human being, and actually tree is a human being in a way, to give sincere, specific, and sensitive praise or thought or whatever, yeah, whatever you want to call it, reward. Somebody saying your colors are spreading joy around, peaceful aura of the tree. Yeah, so be specific, be sincere, something which you actually feel, and be sensitive. Yeah, let's take one more. Okay, the scene is a lizard has just caught a butterfly.
Listen.
So you are giving a praise to the lizard, right? You're giving a sincere, specific, and sensitive praise to the lizard who has just caught and maybe eaten up a butterfly. Okay. So try to bring all the three aspects: sincerity, specific, and sensitive. Somebody saying, okay, you got it, buddy. Yeah, you achieved your goal, you're quick, what focus, important part of ecosystems, lunch done. Right. Interesting. Perseverance. See, now we're looking into those little details. Yeah, perseverance or focus. Let's give feedback to a tiger in a zoo. Not feedback, sorry, a praise to a tiger in a zoo, in a zoo cage. How will you make it specific and sensitive? Remember, you're talking to the tiger
In a zoo.
in a zoo. Yeah, you're talking to a tiger in a zoo. So, what would you say to this tiger, him or her? Make it sensitive, make it specific. In this case, maybe make it the sensitive part is important. Maybe I'm thinking that way. Maybe sincerity is important. Maybe specific is important. Okay. Okay. When you say, I'm sorry for having done this to you, that's not really praise. Try to be with the praise part. Let's how we can make praise to be sincere. This is just a practice round, right? Okay. The last one is wind is howling in the night. Now give your sincere, specific, and sensitive praise to this wind which is howling in the night and maybe keeping you awake. What would you say to Mr. Wind or Miss Wind? Love thy sound?
Yeah, I think the sincere part is important here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Something which you will really think about it.
Yeah, maybe I feel
something with,
like cursing in that sense,
yeah.
but
So
that's nothing wrong in saying I'm cursing your power because you can create sounds of nature. Right. So now, when we talk about reward, we are not really talking about any physical reward. We are not even talking about just a mere open encouragement, but we're talking about if we are with the child, if we are sincere, if we are specific, and if we are sensitive. And again, if we go back to the respect slide where we started off with, we can be sensitive to so many things that the child is doing. The sensitivity and respect, I guess they're synonymous. They go hand in hand. And the important part obviously is to be specific and sincere. Sincere not to your objectives that the child should do more work or should do better work, but sincere to the child's work or the child's effort. So the doer is in an environment where yeah, the sincerity comes with respect to what we observe, not what we wish for.
yeah, and I think that's where the responsibility part also come. That can I be watchful? Can I be observant about, sincerely about what the child putting efforts, what kind of responsibility child is taking for himself, and can I, can I bring awareness about that through my praise, rather than being stuck with my own, um, I will say, my own picture of what is responsibility, what is freedom, or what is a result and what is a product.
Right. So I think, in fact, I don't like the word praise so much. So maybe praise is used as a manipulation rather than as a genuineness. So I would say just share genuine
Yeah.
thoughts, sincere thoughts, specific thoughts, and sensitive thoughts. So reward is thoughts given like that rather than the word praise or feedback. Let's just stay with thoughts.
And also when we are not sincere and sensitive, child can sense that we are just manipulating to get the things done, or you're a good boy, or you are doing, while I know I'm not being a good girl at this moment, I know I'm being very selfish. And then if you talk about it, you're a very good boy, give toy to another child, and then I know this is all is just to manipulate me, and the child knows that what you are uh, uh, talking about. But if I can at that moment be specific and sensitive to the child's feeling, and if I can bring that into the picture, I think it helps the child to connect back with himself.
Yeah. Okay, so let's. So these were the 9 thoughts about learner or learners learning we wanted to share, but we have thrown in a bonus one. So there's a bonus thought, the asterisk thought. Let's do a quick activity. Uh, you have to pick up a common or a popular song, and then you have to hum it, not sing the lyrics, but only the humming part, like like that. And you can come on mic and others will try to guess it. We can take few people quickly to just to have little fun at the end, because that's important. We'll talk about fun
Yeah,
in just a little while, but let's have some people coming on the mic.
you can raise your hands and I will.
Yep, pick up any song. It,
Yeah, Radhika. Yeah, I think Radhika is trying. Okay, Nalini. Yeah.
Nalini, yeah, go ahead, Nalini. Yeah, you can type in the chat if you can guess. Okay, so many of you got your song. Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody else wants to go? Thanks, Nalini.
Yes, Smita, go ahead.
Parul also is there.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Some people have guessed your song. मैं शायर तो नहीं. I think Parul also wanted to do. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Next, whosoever, Parul, if you raise your hand or you want to come, come. Yeah. Let's have one more humming.
Mhm. Nobody wants to have fun.
Yes, Rajni, go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this bonus thought is actually no brainer. We all know what we enjoy, we learn more. And yeah, that's what Mary Poppins taught us. If you've seen the movie, she says, in every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. Find the fun and snap, the job's a game. Right. And yeah, that's what we can do. We can add a lot
Joy.
of
Yeah.
joy, fun, openness, um, and so on. We will send you a little handout, mostly by tonight or tomorrow morning, which will have little more thoughts on each of these 9+1 that we shared with you, so that you can mull over it and think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I want to bring this a little rider with the enjoyment that when we are talking about enjoyment, I, as a mentor, I don't need to make it fun because my fun and your fun would be different. Yeah, I need to remember that. Yeah. Uh, how can I ensure that I create that space for the child to be able to enjoy himself when I take this whole concept of right and wrong, when I take this whole concept of shoulds and should not, mm, uh, and it's just that just doing, just free doing. Can I free the child from there, and then can I see that enjoyment what the child is bringing.
I want to give an example here. We told children that you have to do this campus care, you have to mop the floor. So how do you want to make it fun? And they decided they want to put live, very loud, whatever Western fast music and dance and mop. And maybe the floor didn't got mopped so cleanly, but the dance ensured that the floor was very happy. I think I would rather have a happy floor than a clean floor. What do you say? Right? They were dancing all over and mopping. So let's have happy floors if you like that idea. Okay, so we're kind of ending this session with a little quote by Shri Aurobindo, and I think it's again it's like a privilege to read his quote, and let me do that. It says, "The business of both parent and teacher is to enable and to help the child to educate himself, to develop his own intellect, moral, aesthetic, and practical capacities, and to grow freely as an organic being, not to be needed and pressured into form like an inert plastic material." I think this is almost like a punch in the face. And it's beautiful the way he put it, that the child has to develop his or her own intellectual, moral, aesthetic, and practical beauties.
And I think we need to give time for that. We just can't expect that to happen overnight or in a day or in a week.
Maybe a lifetime.
Yeah, so I think that time and space is quite important when we are talking about SDL, when we are talking about the child, when we are talking about um, joy in whatever we are doing. Yep. So that's all for today. Maybe these 9+1 thoughts will churn little something inside, something outside, something uh, to take forward, whatever you would like to take it forward from there. And we continue our maybe discussion over WhatsApp, and
Next session, do
that
we come back on the highway from the disco?
yeah, we'll see how where we are right now, and how we are moving ahead. Yeah. So yeah, so thank you all for listening.
And
uh,
participating so beautifully.
yeah. We'll continue our journey on WhatsApp with our questions, thoughts. Thank you.